And you're watching WriterGAsh. Disclaimer: this is not a booktube video. This is basically me talking about my recent travels. And I just had to do it because booktube means a lot to me. It's a place I feel like I can talk about anything, which is most of the time books. And this trip means a lot to me, and I just had to talk to booktube or anyone on YouTube about this trip. Our school has this thing called AWOL, Alternate Weekend of Off-Campus Learning, and I went on a winter break trip to New Orleans. And this trip has been absolutely amazing, and I've learned so much from this trip. I learned about the wetlands in New Orleans. I learned about the Hurricane Katrina from the people who were there for Hurricane Katrina. I learned about the people struggle. I learned it from their mouths. It was absolutely eye-opening, and I got to work in the community to help the community, and I absolutely loved the whole experience. So this video has nothing to do with books. It's just me talking about what I learned from this trip because I just had to. And at the end of this video, I'm going to play another video which was made by our site leader, and it's basically a summary of our whole trip. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's different from what I'm used to, but it's something I'm gonna do anyways. So we went to New Orleans on the 15th, and we left town on the 15th, and we got there on Saturday, and that day we spent roaming the city. And the moment we got to the French Quarter, let me tell you guys, I absolutely fell in love with the architecture, the colorfulness, the artisticness, the jazz of the town. And it was just wonderful. I have only ever lived in metropolitan cities in my life, and moving to a small town had been a little difficult, but going to New Orleans was different from living in a big city or in a small town. But it felt right for me because it was a place where artists were free, and like there seemed to be a freedom in the air that I absolutely adored. I don't know how to say that exactly, but it felt like the people there were free to express who they were, and I love that. Anyway, so we worked on the wetlands. So we spent the week planting trees to restore the wetlands. And we went to a marsh, and I learned the difference between a marsh and a swamp. A swamp is basically marsh with trees, and a swamp can actually help reduce the rise of the wave. Like, it reduces the wave by 1 inch. Some number of trees reduces the wave by 1 inch. I'm not giving you wrong information, so I'm not giving you a number for the trees. So I learned a lot in this trip. We learned about things that were responsible for like the loss of landmass in Louisiana, and it was like eye-opening. On the first day, we potted plants in small pots to take to the marshes and the what was that? Lake. I don't know how to say it, but it's Lake Pond something. And that with like big words, so like Ponchatooro or something like that. And it was like, so that day I sunk into the ground over 20 times. We were walking, the land was so, well, if it was so muddy and watery, every time I stepped somewhere, I sunk into the ground. And like, even though that was happening, I thoroughly enjoyed myself because I was giving back to the community, and it was fantastic. I was working with another girl that day, and we planted a total of 35 trees in one day. I am so proud I did that. That's like honestly one of the biggest achievements of my life. And then very next day we planted a lot more trees, a grand total of 250 trees on the second day. Not the second day we were working, but the second day we were planting. The first day we planted 650 trees at Lake Ponchatooro. And the next day we were at Bayou Sauvage, and we planted 250 trees there. I am so happy we gave back to the community because that was fantastic. And the day before we did tree planting, we we were at a reservation outside of New Orleans. It was in another town in Louisiana, and we were basically cutting down these invasive species. We were, like, some of my teammates were actually chopping down these invasive species, the Chinese tala, with axes and machetes, and the others were girdling the trees, and then we had like herbicide to paint on the girdle trees so it would die, and it takes about 2 years for the trees to die. That's the work we did, and I am super proud of myself. Now on to the fun part. New Orleans was fantastic as a city. It was fun, it was vibrant, it was so musical, and it was somewhere I would actually want to live. I mean, yeah, there are always negatives to some place, but it was that good that that my words are getting muddled up. Anyways, so we saw the French Quarters. It was absolutely gorgeous, and we had so many adventures. We went to, so one night we were supposed to have dinner at a temple, and we decided to go there about an hour earlier so we could meet the locals, talk to them. We walk in, there's a procession, kind of procession going on in the temple, and everyone stops. Everyone stops talking. The guy who's talking to everyone stops talking, looks at us. They ask us to go in. We try to leave. They ask us to go in. We go in, and then there is dancing, and this is something I had never experienced before, and this is kind of part of my own culture. It was at the ISKCON temple. It's not something my family visits that often, but we have been to the temple before in India, and it was different from what I had experienced previously, and it was just lively, and I saw the way like everyone loved learning about different cultures, and that really, really touched me because I was fascinated to see how others were receptive to my culture. And I kind of had fun telling, when we were having dinner, I had fun telling everyone else about what we were eating. There were rosagullas and, well, there were a lot more. That's not coming to my head right now. We had, anyway, so it was fun. And it was different because I don't personally attend these things. My family doesn't attend the ISKCON temple. So it was different, but it was still a lot closer to my country than I had been in a while, though, and that was fun. The next day we went on a ghost tour. That's my favorite part. And I don't believe in ghosts. I have no belief in ghosts. And I'm not saying if anyone believes in ghosts, they're wrong. If you have felt something, you have every right to believe it. But I don't personally believe in things that I can't see, I can't touch, I can't have definitive proof of. So, but I still enjoyed it because it's not just about people going around saying, oh, that's a house that has ghosts, that's a house that has ghosts. No, it was like immersion into the culture and the history of New Orleans. The first place we visited was a restaurant, and the guy told us about how that restaurant once belonged to a really rich man in New Orleans who bought a lot of properties around town, but he gambled. So he gambled away the building to some other guy, and the other guy was poor. Not poor, he wasn't as well-to-do. And he also had a gambling problem, but he was a smart man. He built himself up from that house, and he used it as an opportunity to interact with people who wouldn't otherwise talk to him. And then one day he was gambling with someone else, and he started betting more and more and more, and he eventually ended up betting away the house. And the other guy gave him 30 days to leave. He ran away for the first few days. When he came back, his wife had left with his daughters, and he went up to the third floor or the second floor and shot himself. And it's been said that he haunts the restaurant, and a few years ago somebody bought the restaurant, and then they've done a lot of things with the restaurant before, and they remade the whole restaurant. And up until then, he had been a dormant ghost. And apparently, when they rebuilt the restaurant, it looked like his home. So he used to throw glasses at the wall and cause a ruckus. So they decided to keep a table for him with a glass of wine as a way to appease him. Again, I don't really believe it, but the story sounds interesting. That's why I loved the whole trip. And then we went to different hotels and learned about how they were haunted, and that was fun. I'm not going to go into each and every story because then this video would be really long. Our trip was an hour and a half. My favorite story, not favorite, the story that really got to me was the story of, was the one that was featured in American Horror Story, some season of it, I'm not sure. I don't remember the lady's name. She kept slaves, she tortured them. I'm not going to go into the gruesome part, but it was just like learning about it and learning about how things ended, and it really pissed me off that she never got, those people never got the justice they deserved. They were still, she was living a lavish life in another country, and that pisses me off. Anyways, another story that I really love was the story of the Casket Girls. We saw the church, or convent, I'm not sure what to call all of this, to be honest. So I'm sorry if I make a mistake. I'm not doing it to offend anyone, it's just that I don't know. So anyways, so we learned about how they had nailed the top windows up with like blessed nails or something, and it was just like fascinating to hear all these stories, and I loved it. It was a great experience for me. Anyways, so that was my trip, and I am so glad I went on it. I loved the community work we did. I loved the team building. I got to meet people from different universities, and I'm an introvert. I bet you guys realize that. I'm talking to a camera, and I still have doubts about talking to a camera because I don't want to bother people even when I'm uploading things on my channel. So yeah, I'm a big introvert, but I actually got out and acted extrovertly this week. So that's actually my biggest achievement of the week. I was slightly extroverted. I talked to people, I went out, I had fun. That's it for this video. I'm gonna add the last part of the video right now, and the credits go to my site leader Christian, and yeah, that's it. And I do have his permission to put it on my video. Anyways, I'm so excited for you guys to see this video because I love it, and I've seen it so many times since we've been back. I don't know why I did that. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoy a little snippet of our trip. And that's it. Bye!